3rd. So welcome everybody to the September 2022 Monroe Community Coalition meeting. Can everybody see my screen okay? Monroe Community Coalition Supergirl on front. So the agenda is pretty simple today. We'll do welcome and introductions. Because this is our first meeting of the school year, we're going to learn about the Community Prevention and Wellness Initiative. That is the primary mechanism by which the coalition and its programs and strategies are funded. And then we're going to take time to learn about what's happening in your world. So today should move pretty quickly. This will be one of the few times this year where I'm doing more talking than I'd like to do. Each month, I'd like to bring in a different community partner to spotlight the services they offer to the community. Next month, I'm going to introduce you to hopefully an app developer who's working on a pretty important piece of technology that we were able to secure with an emergency authorization a week before our funding expired on June 30th. So things happened quickly. Now we're ready to put this app developer to work for us with some exciting technology, but I don't want to get ahead of myself here. So there's some things I need to jump through, some hoops I need to jump through at the district level. I want to make sure we bring in our most important collaborators, school counselors, and students, and then we'll open this up to the coalition itself as well. What I do want to share with you, I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can share a different screen here. Just as a housekeeping item, I want to make sure that if you're on the coalition distribution list, can you see the internet screen now? It says Monroe Community Coalition on it. Yeah, so yes. If you're receiving our monthly emails or newsletters, I wanted to go over really quickly what you may be missing if you skip right through it. And so each month at the top of the newsletter, you see our essentially who we are and then what's contained in the newsletter. It's always a preamble and a welcome that talks about what's going on very briefly at the next meeting, our registration link so that you can register in advance for this meeting, our coalition agenda for the upcoming meeting. And then in order to speed up meetings, generally what I've been doing over the last year or so is putting the coalition business updates right in the newsletter.
That's so good.
So if you want to know exactly what the business of the coalition is, this is in the monthly newsletter every time I send it out, part of the coalition reminder. So if you see this and have any questions about coalition programs or strategies, or you want to help out or find out how else you might be able to be involved, or you have a special talent you want to offer, just respond to me. I'll get all the responses. I see all the registrations, and I'm in a condition where I'm open to receiving all I can get, and also to responding to questions in real time. So you can help to shape a coalition meeting just by asking a question probably 10 other people have. So without interaction, I don't know what we need. And so this is what's going out every month. And you can send me stuff to include it as well. We don't have a process, we're vetting that right now. But if it fits with the coalition's mission and strategic plan, we'll certainly find a way to include this. So, okay, I'm going to stop sharing that screen and move back to actually, I'm going to stop sharing screens at all. I'd like to move into introductions right now. So if everybody will go into their reactions tab at the bottom of your Zoom screen and click on, raise your hand. I will start calling on people to introduce themselves based on your raised hand. If you don't know how to do it, I'll walk you through it. You just click on reactions. That's the happy face with a plus sign. And at the bottom of the reactions tab is a raised hand. Mary, you're almost there. You click
Chrome.
thumb, but at the bottom there's a text box that says lower or raise hand.
Got it.
Woohoo! And Jamie, if you don't have that button, the smiley face button with a plus sign on it, don't worry. I'm going to start with you. So Jamie, welcome to the Community Coalition meeting. We're so glad you're here. Would you introduce yourself and tell us what brought you to the table today?
Yeah, I'm Jamie Voigt. I'm a family support coach at Housing Hope's 3 sites in Monroe. And I'm always curious to just see who else is out in the community and how we can collaborate and work in the best interests of the kids in our community.
Jamie, will you call on somebody whose hand is up?
Yeah, Sheridan is new out here, and she is sort of going to be the new face of Mary Beth.
So Sheridan, you're up. Would you introduce yourself and what brought you to the table?
Yeah, so I'm Sheridan, and I am the new child and family specialist in East County, which is in the Monroe Sultan area. And I'm super excited to come join the group and get to know people, hopefully at the schools, and really serve our clients and their families the best I can. And I will choose Aubrey. Sorry, Aubrey.
Oh, Aubrey, you're muted.
Of course I am. I'm Aubrey Rudd. I represent justserve.org, which is pairing people who want to volunteer in the community with volunteer opportunities. And I'm also a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and I have 3 kiddos in the school district. So that's me. How about Mary Myers?
Hi all, I'm Mary. I am a 30-year past employee of Monroe School District, and I led the charge before Joe Nigel came on board. My background is nursing and prevention intervention, broadly speaking, but my background is as an RN. I'm currently retired, but can't keep away.
Thank goodness.
And
Mary,
I call
who do you-
upon Sharon.
Sorry, I
Sharon.
couldn't find my unmute button.
Oh,
My name is Sharon Lineweber. I'm one of the counselors at Park Place Middle School. And what brought me here is that I'm new to the district last year, and I just want to do whatever I can for my kids and need to get in tune with all the resources that are available.
And I will add, Sharon, before you call on somebody, so that these folks know, the coalition receives mental health promotion and suicide prevention funding from the Washington State Healthcare Authority. And Sharon is implementing a coalition strategy called Sources of Strength. Correct. Sources of Strength is a youth-driven suicide prevention initiative that focuses on promoting protective factors. Protective factors build buffers against risk factors that students may be experiencing. Mm-hmm. And really looking excited to what Sharon's going to do there. Right. Sharon, we'll be spotlighting you in the future.
Oh, yay.
Who are you picking on?
I'll pick Amber.
I knew it. I knew she would pick me. My name's Amber Mehta, and I am the McKinney-Vento liaison for the Monroe School District. And I volunteer at many of these organizations. I also have 2 students, or that's what I'm used to calling them. I have 2 children in the school district in 8th grade and 1st grade.
Oh, before you call on anybody, Amber, let me also add that Amber was recently promoted from the McKinney-Vento liaison position, starting what day?
Wednesday next week.
Wednesday next week.
We'll say that.
Into the student support advocate position. So because of the coalition, Monroe School District has been able to apply for case management grant funding. We now are up to 4 student support advocates who provide wraparound support for families and students in need and crisis. So student support advocates start with an assessment of a family or student's needs, identify goals that they're ready to start working on because this is a client-centered service model, and then stick with them. Right now, we have 2 SSAs who are serving at the elementary level, 2 at the middle school level, and 1 at the high school level. And so ideally, we might be able to provide case management and wraparound support from elementary through high school for students who most need that stabilizing support and access to resources in the community. So Amber, congratulations. Who are you picking on?
I'm going to go with our new team member, Maddie.
Hi, my name is Maddie Lauder, and I am the new student assistance professional at Monroe High School, and I am contracted through Educational Service District 189. So I provide prevention and intervention resources for the students at Monroe High School. And I'm really excited to just plug into the community in Monroe and be able to provide the resources that all of your organizations can also help and benefit our students.
Before you pick on anybody, Maddie, Maddie is a benefit that the community receives. Her services are a benefit that are directly tied to the coalition. So in order to have the coalition in Monroe, what you're going to learn about is a formal partnership that's set between Monroe School District, ESD 189, and the community. And so ESD 189 funds Maddie's work. Maddie implements an evidence-based program called Project Success at Monroe High School. That means she's doing classroom education series, small group supports for students who have common risk characteristics, and then one-on-one counseling for those who are experimenting with substances, and then referral for those who are experiencing deeper issues with dependence. Maddie, who do you want to pick on?
I will go with Wendy.
Hello, I'm Wendy Birchall. I work for the Snohomish Health District. I'm a healthy community specialist, and I'm also the County Child Death Review Coordinator. And my areas of focus here are youth suicide prevention and safe sleep education for infants, because through my work with Child Death Review, those are the 2 areas where we lose young people the most in our county. So we use that data from our reviews to implement prevention strategies in the community around those topics. And I also work with Joe on the youth suicide prevention task force at the county level. So thank you.
Who are you picking on, Wendy?
I will pick my colleague, Juliet.
Hi, I'm Juliet D'Alessandro. I also work at the Health District with Wendy. I am also on the Healthy Communities team, and I primarily work with our opioids team, and I currently coordinate a rural-focused opioid response project, which one of the 2 communities we work in is the Sky Valley area. So I've been involved with the coalition since even before that project, since we do a lot of prevention work on our team, but it's exciting to still get to be a part of this group. So, and I will call on Chris Jury next.
There we go. Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Chris Jury. I am the prevention manager for the Northwest Education Service District, which means I have the honor of supervising Maddie and 16 of her closest colleagues, and it's a great joy, but it's also particularly great to still be able to be involved in Monroe. I started working in Monroe in 2006 with Mary and Pastor Michael and a few other long-serving folks, and it's an honor to still get to do it. So here we are.
You'll always be one of us, Chris.
Can't get rid of me very easily.
Don't want to.
Who are you picking on, Chris?
Let's go with Juliet.
Oh, she already
Oh,
had.
she did go. I apologize. Who else is on my screen? Sarah.
Hello, I'm Sarah Lundstrom, and I pull families out of desperation to take the next step. We're Monroe's nonprofit family resource center. And I will go to Chris.
Yeah, Chris Gray. I'm on the board of directors for Housing Hope. So glad to have Sheridan and Jamie here, and because I'm a long serving, but I love this group, and so anyway, it's I am a career educator. Worked in Lake Washington School District, so I have a deep abiding love for the kiddos, and so I want to maintain my work here. And then I guess I'll just pick on Dennis.
Thank you. My name is Dennis Smith. I'm a retired school psychologist in the Granite Falls School District. We started a community coalition there in about 2000, and we're still going. And so I spend my time there. I also work with the Snohomish County Children's Wellness Coalition, but I am retired and trying to retire more if I can. So that's what I do, and I'm happy that Joe has included me in this because we've always exchanged information that benefit both our coalitions, and so it's great to be here.
Thanks, Dennis. It looks like Pastor Michael's the last one with his hand up.
All right, I'm Pastor Michael Hanford. I'm a police and fire chaplain for 25 years and coordinator for Monroe pastors and congregations, and a member of the leadership team with Joe and Mary and Tom and the others, and good to be here. Bless you. Coming up in November is Police and Fire Appreciation Week. In November, we'll be talking more about that in October, but we sure need to be giving them thanks at this time. They're just right there. The police have more call outs than I've ever seen, and they're seemingly more and more dangerous, more weapons and various domestic violence and people coming through town. They're right there on the edge. And then of course our fire, they're right leading the charge, amazing way up there with the fire and all the rest of the things they do. Coming up, there's an open house at the various stations in October. We'll let you know more about that later.
Thank you. And of course, I'm Joe. I'm your coalition coordinator and sometimes resident troublemaker. But it's all trouble for kids. So I'm going to share my screen again. This is a piece that we're required to do annually. That is, again, sharing about the CPWI initiative and the coalition. Can you see our agenda screen? Yep, I see yeses. So, okay, let's talk about who we are and what we do. So we are part of the Division of Behavioral Health and Recovery, which is the division within the Washington State Healthcare Authority. We are part of DBHR's Community Prevention and Wellness Initiative. When we first started this, it was actually a huge shift in how we did prevention across Washington State. So up until about 2010, the state engaged in a quality-based funding model. So they considered each county's population and then divided funding up equally between them. And then what counties did as recipients of that funding was divided them up according to a population formula for each community and provided support to communities. When the Division of Behavioral Health and Recovery was asked to show how all of that funding over time, all of that is in quotes, but how that funding over time changed the substance abuse and behavioral health needle, they really struggled to show any impacts at all. And what they concluded was the equality-based model really underfunded the highest risk communities and overfunded the lowest risk communities. And so in 2010 and 11, a group of us, there were only 39 of us, one for each county across the state, put our heads together and help the state transition into an equity-based model, the CPWI. How the Community Prevention and Wellness Initiative works is it asks counties to go through their data to identify the most at-risk communities in the region. And then those most at-risk communities receive the vast majority of the available funding for that area. And so when Monroe was identified in 2012 and 2013 as one of the county's most at-risk communities, we partnered with Mary, who was leading the charge here with Pastor Michael and Chris Jury, and we started to assess the community's readiness to benefit from dedicated prevention funding. And so Monroe has been a part of the CPWI since 2013. In March, we will be celebrating our 10th year of existence here under this model and with this particular coalition. And the initiative statewide has grown significantly. So CPWI is now in over 100 sites across Washington state and way more than 100 schools and in all 39 counties. So this is the model, and this is a model that's getting national recognition from our partners at SAMHSA and in all 49 other states because of the success that we're experiencing. So we are essentially a community-based model for delivering effective prevention programs and strategies, where before the county was the decider of what types of initiatives needed to go in which communities, and we hoped communities would be a part of what we were excited about funding. Now the funding comes to each community, and the coalition looks at its data, looks at existing partnerships and needs, and decides on an annual basis or biannual basis, depending on the year, where we're most vulnerable and how we're going to address those vulnerabilities. So we engage in a data-informed, community-level decision-making approach to respond to root causes of substance abuse, violence, teen pregnancy, school dropout and delinquency, also the development of mental health disorders like anxiety, depression, suicidality. We're working to address those root causes rather than symptoms. So by contract, so we contract with the state through our fiscal agent, that is the Monroe School District. I'm a Monroe School District employee. But by contract with the state, we're required to have diverse sectors of support represented. So it's not just one segment of the population or one organization making the decisions for how coalition resources are used. And so we're required to have moms and dads and grandparents on the coalition, youth, law enforcement, businesses, healthcare, media, schools, government, mental health treatment, substance abuse treatment, the faith community, volunteer groups, family serving agencies, and more. At a minimum, we're required to have support from at least 8 of these sectors at any one time. And when we're below that, it's our obligation to pivot and come to you and ask who should be at the table, right? Because we want that diversity in order to make sure that we're leveraging and utilizing our resources as well as possible. When you look at the logos represented, who do we have on with us today? We do have Northwest Educational Service District on with us today. Housing Hopes here, the school district, Take the Next Step, Snohomish Health District. So at any one given time, we will have most or all of these agencies represented. And we have other agencies. Our distribution list, when you receive that newsletter, goes to about 650 people who want to be aware of coalition activities, whether or not they can show up for our meetings. And so we consider all of those people who are interested in what we're doing to be advisory members at any given time. They can tell us what they're seeing or what they believe our needs are, and they can join us whenever they're available. So I mentioned root causes. So what we do on the coalition is we really do focus on the fire and not the smoke. So while we see different rates of substance use and other consequence measures, what we're really targeting are risk and protective factors that predict whether or not our community is likely to be vulnerable to those consequences. So we analyze primarily healthy use survey, but also other data to understand where our young people's health and wellness are at. And healthy use survey data also has question scales to help us to understand risk and protective factors that we may be vulnerable to or benefiting from. And then what we do once we understand where our particular strengths or challenges are is use coalition funding and coalition resources, including you, to put evidence-based program strategies and personnel in place for youth. And this is known as the strategic prevention framework, but it's essentially this cycle that you see on our screen. It starts with capacity building. So we're a capacity building coalition. We always offer training in the community. We've particularly focused on trauma-informed training and trauma-informed practice training that aligns with science. But while we're capacity building, we engage in an annual assessment process. So we look at available data. We bring that data to the coalition to look at areas of statistical significance or lower significance. So what data points matter to us and what data points should matter to us because we're very different than other communities or the state as a whole. Then we put our heads together to develop an implementation plan, identifying evidence-based approaches or programs in order to plug those vulnerabilities. And then we're engaged in a constant evaluation process. So all of our programs and strategies use pre and post testing to help inform whether or not what we are hoping will be successful is actually successful, and then guide program modification or adaptation as needed. In some cases, if we're consistently unsuccessful with a program, we may move on from that program altogether, and that's happened over the years. One of the things that we did this year, we're essentially providing data updates to our 2019 comprehensive strategic plan. And we've made certain key investments based on our 2018 and 2016 data that we continue to invest in now. And I'll show you that in a little bit. But what you need to know is that the risk and protective factor model we use is grounded in science. It's research-based and peer-reviewed. The risk and protective factor model, if you see the colored domains on the right, really look at community and individual and general vulnerabilities in 4 domains. We're looking at vulnerabilities on the individual level, at the school level, at the family level, and then at the community level. And what you see if we look at the blue community domain on the far left are 4 factors, risk factors that predict, and if you look at the check mark, so availability of drugs, so the availability of drugs in the community predicts community rates of substance use, and then there's no other check mark until we get to violence, if you look up. And so we know if we target availability of drugs in the community, eventually what we're going to see is positive change in substance use, rates of community substance use and violence. When you look at the family domain, you see the exact same thing. Of all the different domains, you can see that the family is most predictive. The family environment and context is most predictive of the problem behaviors and vulnerabilities that we see in the community, and so on and so forth. If you look to the right, you see protective factors. And so now let's start again at the left. We see the community domain. And if we were vulnerable in any of these, one, the coalition would start looking at programs with an evidence base for impacting community risk factors. And as a coalition, we want to start promoting protective factors on the right that buffer against this risk. So the protective factors that are shown by science in the community domain to help reduce risk or the impact of these risk factors are providing opportunities for pro-social community involvement. So pro-social involvement is another way of saying positive community involvement, and then recognizing youth and young people for their positive community involvement. And then you see that same type of protective factor beyond. When we look at family, if we're not targeting risk, we actually want to enhance a protective buffer. Then we want to enhance family bonding, right? A young person's ability to bond with their family, particularly around their family's healthy beliefs and clear standards, attachment to their family with regard to healthy beliefs and standards. We want to provide opportunities for pro-social family involvement, so how youth contribute to their families, and then recognition for their contribution to their family. And so what you see when you're seeing different colors on this chart, and I'll get this out there, I'll make sure everybody has it. When I look at community risk factors, our most recent data says that we're exactly the same as every other community and community like us in Washington State, except for in two areas. The green means that we fare better, statistically better, than all other communities, most other communities who are in the normal range in terms of our availability of drugs and availability of firearms. One of the things when we look at protective factors where we're different than other communities is right now, we don't have a lot of opportunities for young people to contribute to the community in a positive way. So as a coalition, something we might consider is how we facilitate opportunity for youth to contribute to, the community. And so how are we partnering with Take the Next Step? How are we partnering with the health district or faith community to create those opportunities to make sure that our partners know that there's a lack of community opportunities and that it's showing up in our data and it may lead to future vulnerability. When we look at the family domain, our young people are no more at risk than any other community. But when we look at protection, one of the things where we lack, and this is in 8th grade, 8th graders report fewer opportunities to positively contribute to their family than 8th graders in other communities. And then just for clarification, we primarily look at 8th and 10th grade data when we're analyzing Healthy Youth Survey data. The data isn't available below the 6th grade level. 6th grade data very rarely changes in any given year. And so we focus on where we see the most change in 8th and 10th grade. When we look at the school domain, 10th graders are much less likely to predict or to respond that they're struggling academically compared to communities across Washington State. However, 8th graders are less likely to see value in their education or meaningfulness in the work that they're doing compared to 8th graders across Washington State. And so if we were going to focus on future programming, the coalition would want to consider strategies that increase commitment and bonding to school, working with our school partners to increase the relevance and meaningfulness of the work that our students are engaging in. But you can see that our 10th graders, not only are they performing academically better at this stage than normal communities around, or the average community around the state, they also have better protective factors. They have more opportunities to positively contribute to their school, and they get more recognition for those positive contributions. So we are doing really well. We have a lot to be proud of. And when we look at individual risk factors, you can see across the board, 3 out of 4 domains, we are faring better than other communities across Washington State. So these are statistically significant findings, meaning something is happening in Monroe that's different than in other communities, and it's leading to changes in the data that show up beyond random chance. So there's something definitely happening here. And so the coalition, as we look at data, seeks to understand what is happening differently here than in others. And then let me see here. We fare as well as the rest of communities in terms of the protective buffers that we have in place. So primarily, the coalition in the future will want to target commitment to school and favorable attitudes towards substance use, but we expect the data to shift a little the next time the Healthy Youth Survey is implemented. So this is something that we're monitoring right now. Overall, though, and these risk and protective factors have shifted over time. The predictive risk factors always stay the same, but our vulnerability has shifted over time. Since 2013, the coalition's raised almost $3 million in resources for behavioral health. So we are a primary substance abuse coalition, but we recognize that there are greater needs than just addressing substance abuse. And so while every strategy has to show positive outcomes with regard to reducing these risk factors in substance abuse, we also target programs and strategies that produce positive outcomes in other domains that reduce violence, domains that reduce depression and anxiety. And so we target strategies and programs that impact multiple domains. But that's a lot of funding for behavioral health, and that includes strategies at all levels and personnel. It doesn't include the school district's contribution to this effort, which is substantial as well. We utilize a public health model for prevention. So basically what that means is we recognize that the more people we can influence at one time with our strategies and programs, the more effective we're going to be at changing community rates of substance use and other factors. And so we engage in programs and strategies at an environmental level, so whole community strategies, at the universal level, so strategies targeting all students in one-size-fits-all style approaches, strategies that are selective. They target some students with common risk characteristics who aren't well served by the one-size-fits-all approach, and then one-on-one strategies. So we serve students one-on-one with supports and resources if they're falling through the cracks of the one-size-fits-all and small group risk characteristics. So environmentally, we do look at school district and municipal policy, since policy is a great way to impact community rates of change. We engage in this tiered model, both in terms of what we do as a prevention coalition following Institute of Medicine's tiered model, so environmental, universal, selective, and indicated. And the coalitions directly influence the school district use of the tier model through a system called multi-tiered systems of support, or tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. So a lot of the work in 2013, we're making those bridges between terms and language so that we can make a direct impact on what we're doing here. But at the tier 1 level, we're doing trauma-informed practice training. We're offering community mental health first aid training. Take the Next Step has traditionally been our partner in offering Parenting Wisely. Sarah, I need to reach out to you to get the contract going finally, because we have that in place. We engage in community awareness and social norms marketing campaigns, both with regard to substance use and mental health access. Those are primarily featured on social media platforms, including Spotify and Facebook, and in our movie theaters, where we can reach the largest possible audience. At the elementary school level, we're implementing Second Step, which is both a substance abuse prevention and violence reduction program that is also recognized as an evidence-based social emotional learning intervention. We're implementing a behavior management strategy with teachers called the PACS Good Behavior Game, and we've seen incredibly positive outcomes. Frank Wagner Elementary implemented this last year for the first time, and they achieved a nearly 70% reduction in distracting and disruptive classroom behavior from their baseline to their June post. I mean, incredible outcomes. At the middle school level and secondary level, we're implementing life skills training program. That's the Botman's Life Skills Training Program, which Mary brought to the community back in the day, and that we continue to sustain here through a mix of funding. Sport Prevention Plus Wellness, which Maddie is being implemented in right now, So she'll be implementing that in addition to Project Success and Project Success. On the mental health promotion and suicide prevention side, the Sources of Strength program, which Sharon is leading, and then Signs of Suicide, which all students 6th through 12th grade receive. Elementary school counselors are implementing this tier 2 and tier 3 strategy called Check and Connect, providing personal check-ins along an evidence-based structure with our most vulnerable students. Project Success groups will be going for students who are at risk. And then we're going to be re-evaluating a successful small group suicide prevention strategy this year, just to see if there are better and more efficient options available. So this one may be implemented, but it may be replaced as well. And then the coalition's been very successful at leveraging funding for specialized behavioral health personnel. The district funds are LMHC, licensed mental health counselor, called the behavioral health specialist. We have a co-occurring disorder specialist who's both an LMHC and CDP, providing a 16-week treatment program at Monroe High School called the Integrative Cognitive Therapies Program. We also have an on-site long-term mental health counselor on-site when there isn't a staffing shortage through a memorandum of understanding we put in place with CMAR Behavioral Health. Maddie's our student assistance professional. We've integrated our homeless and foster care liaisons and family liaisons into the behavioral health team. I mean, we are working all aspects of the tiered model, from environmental strategies to one-on-one supports. The reason why I keep emphasizing our use of evidence-based programs rather than research-aligned or innovative strategies is because we want to make sure that our investments with public funding go with strategies that are demonstrated by science to work. And I use DARE as a great example of a program that had widespread use. It was one of the most widely implemented programs in the world, and particularly in the United States. It generated billions of dollars a year at its peak, and at least 8 studies concluded that even though DARE was very well intended, it had no impact in preventing drug use among youth, and actually increased the likelihood of substance use and criminal justice involvement among marginalized populations. So DARE was well intended, everybody used it, and it actually caused harm. And when you take that on an individual school district level, it didn't do much damage, but it didn't help at all. But when you look at it nationally or globally, tens of thousands of students started using drugs, started their trajectory through the criminal justice system because of this positive intention. So we try to distance ourselves away from positive intent as the justification for what we engage in, and really focus on evidence-based programs that are proven to work across settings and with different demographics so that we're not causing accidental harm. And the results speak for themselves. When we're looking at the 2018 and 2021 data, Monroe is a long ways away from being one of the most at-risk communities in the county. Our regular alcohol use rates are the lowest ever recorded, both in 2018 and 2021, but this is 2021 data. 2021's the most recent data that we have available. Our regular marijuana use rates are the lowest rates ever recorded. Our smoking and vaping rates are the lowest rates since 2014. The only reason why I'm not saying the lowest rates ever is we actually started collecting vaping data in 2012, and vaping was just a niche. Nobody had really heard of it. By 2014, we had a significant uptick. And so really, since vaping became a thing, we've achieved our lowest rate of vaping ever. Our prescription painkiller use rates and prescription drugs not prescribed use rates are the lowest rates ever recorded. Students are reporting being in an abusive boyfriend-girlfriend relationship at the lowest rate ever recorded. Teachers recognizing and validating their students' hard work, which is evidence-based, right? So we want this shift in our adults because you get what you notice. And so when our adults only notice challenging or disruptive behaviors, we install challenging and disruptive behaviors as the norm. to transition to our teachers recognizing and praising hard work at the highest rate ever will pay dividends and is paying dividends, both in the classroom and will pay across the span of life. And then our delinquency rate, specifically physical fighting, is the lowest rate ever recorded. So really powerful outcomes that are consistent with what researchers have found at, so WSU is the CPWI program evaluator, and we're seeing increased graduation rates and significantly less risk across the state in CPWI communities. In 22-23, Coalition has specific mental health strategies, including the Signs of Suicide program, Check and Connect, Sources of Strength, Youth Mental Health First Aid, the technology investment in a platform called QActual, and feeder campaigns, the No Shame in Your Brain campaign. The programs that have sparkly stars beside them are what are in startup mode in September. Others will come later in the fall and in the winter and spring, but this is what we're focused on right now behind the scenes. The substance abuse prevention offerings are the PACS Good Behavior Game, which also is a mental health program, Project Success, Prevention Plus Wellness, and the Botman's Life Skills Training Program, all starting up this September with the rest to follow. So we're active and we're busy, and there's a lot of work happening behind the scenes of these meetings. So I'm going to open up to questions from you. That's what we're doing in a nutshell. The only business update I have for you is just a heads up that two things are going to be coming your way this month. The first one of those is the coalition engages in an annual community survey of adults. Not only do we look at youth data, but we look at adult data too, and we measure what adults are concerned about with regard to youth in the community and interventions and their readiness to respond if they see a youth in distress. And so we'll need your help promoting that survey. Last year, we had about 600 respondents. It was our highest respondent rate ever. And so hoping that that high rate can continue, because that gives us really great data to work with and the potential to design interventions and campaigns. So we'll need your help getting that out there. The survey is available now, but we won't launch it until after folks settle down from the start of school. But look for that in a couple of weeks. And then the other component that will be coming your way is a coalition member survey. So if you're here with us today and you've attended more than 3 meetings, I'm required by contract with the state to survey how you assess our progress. And so unfortunately, those are not anonymous surveys, but Mary and Chris Gray and Juliet, anybody who's been here can attest, I've never accosted anybody based on your honesty. So please be honest, because it helps the leadership team to plan what we need to do in order to keep the coalition moving forward as an organization. And so those are the only 2 business updates. Things are coming your way. Otherwise, I may be sending out one other poll for coalition members, or more likely next month, we'll start getting into breakout groups to talk about what topics are interesting to you, what vulnerabilities you see emerging in the community, and where you see the need for us as a community organization to start investing or supporting the community. So the evidence-based programs are in place, but the community supports may not be in place, and that's all going to come from you since we're a community coalition. Otherwise, I need to be done talking. As you can see, the impact on my brain is there. It's not anxiety, but this is an opportunity for you to tell us what your organization's up to. We'd love to hear from you. What's going on in your world? What challenges are you seeing? I'm going to ask our partner take the next step to start. Sarah, sorry for putting you on the spot. Would you tell us what's going on? I had a specific request come in from a community member about when we'd be restarting Kids Club, if that would be happening again in person or not. So I've also had principals ask about it. So valuable service.
Yes, and I have to leave in just a minute, so I'm thankful that you let me go first. Thanks, Joe. Kids Club is starting at the beginning of October, so first Tuesday of October, I believe it's the 3rd or the 4th, is what we're aiming for. We've hired a Kids Club lead. His name is Jose Prego, and we're excited and getting him on his feet. And we'll be having the Kids Club volunteer trainings the Tuesday and Thursday before that. And we need volunteers. So if anyone would like to volunteer or know someone, please send them my way.
Sarah, what is Kids Club?
Kids Club is our after-school program for the children living in Monroe's highest poverty neighborhoods. So we partner with Frank Wagner. The kids get bussed over. We do healthy games and snack. We do academic time, reading, thankfulness journals, song and dance and group lessons, games, all the good stuff. And we also make sure that volunteers for Kids Club can commit to 1 day per week for the duration of the school year, because in addition to academic goals, we want to be able to provide children with a meaningful relationship with an adult, which is one of the best ways to combat adverse childhood experiences. And we continue to have quite a bit of funding available for sports and activities. So we can pay up to $250 per student to access sport, robotics, dance, whatever it might be. So even if you have a student in your life, maybe that hasn't been active in something like that, but could benefit from it, we'd love to pay $250 for them to do what they want to do. We continue to work with some local mental health providers to refer students, and we're also building some new groups from that that students can attend that have been really beneficial. And so we're excited about that. And our mental health providers actually have a whole slew of interns now. And so we have quite a few people to refer to. And so we're essentially just paying for kids to get mental health services, but that's what's needed. So that's what we applied for funds for. Growing Together, our Teen Mom program is still going. We could use some help with childcare. We're meeting 2 times a month now. A fun meeting and an educational meeting. We just were at Grafster Farm and Pond this week with them. And so if there are any teen moms in your circle or expecting teen moms, we would love to walk alongside them and help them meet their goals and support them. So please send them my way or hit me up and ask me how they can get connected. Homeless outreach 3 times a week is still going really great. Really great outcomes from that. And it's increasing. We're having more and more contacts each day that we go out, and we do that Monday, Wednesday, Friday. The resource center continues to be busier than it's ever been. And really most of the cases are coming through are pretty intense. There's really a lot of domestic violence, more so than we've ever seen before. So doing our best to work with families in their, kind of worst moments, really. I'm sure I'm forgetting some things. Lots going on, but thank you, everyone. And I have to go. I'm so sorry. It was really great to see everyone. Thank you. You're on mute, Joe.
We've been joined by Chief Jolly. Chief Jolly, thanks so much for joining us every month. When you're ready, we'd love to hear about what you're seeing in the community with regard to substance abuse or other issues that might be emerging.
Well, thank you, Joe. I'm running a little bit late, so I apologize for that, and I've got to go in a minute. But so I'm not sure what the topic is, or
it's just a community update. So we're giving everybody a chance to share about what's happening in their world, and we're always intensely interested in what's happening in your world.
Well, gotcha. Business is good. We have plenty of clients and plenty of things to do, but we've been keeping an eye on the fire up the street and looking out for that. We've had a very busy summer and just finished up with the fair at Evergreen as well as the parade. We've had a couple of major incidents that have necessitated having SWAT deployed in the city. And I caught a little bit of what Sarah said about domestic violence. And yes, we are responding to many more calls of that as some of the strains of coming out of COVID and the economy and the political climate of our country. I think people are kind of at their wits' end with things that are going on. And there's a huge lack of civility and dialogue nowadays and the ability of people to get along. So unfortunately, business is good for us. So in regards to substance abuse, I think that the state laws that have been changed recently, especially towards substance abuse, basically decriminalizing it, have seen an increase and a lack of accountability and a lack of people really being able to be pushed into getting some help. I know that the key to success is people have got to want to get help, but sometimes there are those people on the edge that just need some accountability. And I think we're seeing some ripple effects of that from increasing property crime, homelessness, a lot of physical confrontations and fights that seem to be kind of an anomaly from what I've seen in the previous 3 years. So we're starting to see a lot of ripple effects from some of the things that have been going on, from COVID to new laws, and not a lot of it's positive, and it's hard to get people together to talk about it and be civil to each other. So I still remain optimistic and hopeful and continue to try to ensure that we have a good, safe community, which I do think we're still exceptionally in a great place. And last night, Citizens Academy started, so we're pretty excited for that. If there's anybody out there that would like a spot, we've had a spot pop open. Just give me a call and I will hook you up and take care of you. But it's a fun time, runs 9 more weeks, and be happy to get you in. So that's a quick snapshot, and I hope that gave you a little bit of what we have going on.
Thank you. Any questions for Chief Jolly before he has to leave? All right, you might be off the hook. Juliet, will you tell us what's happening in your world?
Sure, I'll do a brief update, and I guess I also will draw attention to, before Wendy logged off, she put something in the chat about our community health assessment that the health district will be starting soon, and we are looking for community feedback. So we have a link you can go to sign up if you're interested, or Wendy put her email in there. So I will just second that. Our community health assessment process is so much stronger when we have a lot of authentic community engagement and feedback to inform that. And then in terms of the projects that I work on and our prevention team, we're doing a lot of work just around, sorry, my cat's on my lap and really just going for the cuddles. A lot of work around trying to increase Narcan access for individuals in the community and organizations as well. We've been getting a lot more requests from folks who want to have it on site for either their staff or to be able to give out. It is currently in Washington State. If you are just an individual who wants to have Narcan available in case you ever run into a situation where you need to reverse an overdose, you can request a free kit by mail. If you go to the Washington State Department of Health, I will find the link in a second when I'm not talking, but there's a link online. You can just fill out your information and they will send you a kit that you can keep on you at all times.
Hey, Juliet.
Yes.
Is Narcan only for people who may have an opioid addiction?
Great question, Joe. It, of course, is really helpful if someone is using opioids for them to have on hand, whether that means they're using street drugs or has, you or someone in your household has a prescription that you are, taking as prescribed. Accidents happen. Sometimes you forget you've taken a dose and you've accidentally taken it too much. And even that presents a risk of overdose. But really anyone we think should carry naloxone or Narcan, because you never know when you're going to be in the position to step in and potentially save someone's life and help them stay alive and keep breathing long enough for 911 to get called and for EMS to arrive on scene and help that person stay alive and get stabilized into the hospital and hopefully connected to some resources as well. And we do have, so I don't personally do trainings, but we have a couple other folks on our Healthy Communities team that do Narcan trainings. So if you're the school district or your organization would like a training, we offer those. They're just about an hour long, and we also provide Narcan to everyone who participates in those trainings. So I'll plug them. And if you are interested in that, we do have, I'll put my email or our opioid team email in the chat as well, but you can also find our opioids team email. It's just opioids@snohd.org on our health district website or on our Snohomish overdose prevention website, which is our countywide part of the multi-agency collaboration MAC group.
Julia, are those offered online or only in person?
So Abby and Brenna have been doing those virtually for the past while. So I think they've done a couple in person. So if you wanted an in-person training, we could do that, but they've also perfected offering a virtual training and then coordinating getting Narcan to participants afterwards. So
This sounds like something we'll want to host.
I think it's a great resource, a great training. And then final plug is that I will be at the Sky Valley Mental Health Fair event happening on Sunday. And I'll have a table for Snohomish overdose prevention. So I will have a few Narcan kits there to give out, as well as some other materials around overdose prevention. I'll have some lock bottles and other cool stuff like that. And we'll also have other health district folks with slightly more family friendly stuff. So if you're around, stop by and say hi.
Which park is that in again?
I was just gonna pull up the flyer because I keep forgetting.
I know, me too.
Isn't it just the Sky River Park?
I think so. Yeah.
And so just so you know, as the coalition coordinator, I've had a hand in making some connections for there. Our app developer is actually the chaplain for the Seahawks. And so he's so excited about the mental health there and about the technology we're bringing to the community. He's arranged for Seahawks cheerleaders and some veteran players to be there. There's a breakdancing competition that he helped to arrange for us. And so we've made some new partners along the way. Heidi Dawson, who's organizing for this organizing this for our community, along with Jenna Robinson. Both are going to be great partners to have as we move forward. But so you have had a hand as a coalition. We've had a hand in helping this to be more successful, including bringing the school district to the table. So okay, sorry. Housing Hope, what's happening?
I can't really speak to too much in Monroe at the moment. I've just been in the position like a week and a half, but maybe Jamie has any updates she wants to add.
Probably not. I've got IT support over here, so I'm kind of multitasking. But yeah, we're just starting school back up and things are humming along. The moratorium on housing evictions has ended, and so we're starting to uphold the lease agreements a little more, and residents are kind of adjusting to that phase after a couple of years of things being kind of fast and loose on housing sites.
And Jamie or Sheridan, how's it going getting people actually housed? Because I know there are some vacant units in the community that already are assigned to folks, but we're having trouble moving them in there. Can you give us an update?
Yeah, all of our homeless units are still referred through the county's central wait list. Some of the vacancies are because we're running into challenges with background checks or needed documentation and things. We've had to send some of the referrals back to the county and start over.
Got it.
So
got it. Thanks. Amber, while we're on homelessness, can you give us an update about what you're seeing this year?
Yeah, I ended the school year with around 285 Vento students and probably about 15 foster care students. And that will grow, but like since the start of the school year, I have 12 foster care students, and then I do have 165 McKinney-Vento. I have most of our students are from, well, I have, so Leaders in Learning, their enrollment number is 61, and I have 5 unaccompanied minors there. So that makes their McKinney-Vento number like 8% of their school. And then of course, Frank Wagner, we have 554 students there, and 40 McKinney-Vento qualified students. So that makes that almost a little over 7% of their school. And so those are the largest numbers. Most of the other schools are 3%. And so those are why those schools in particular were able to have free lunch and breakfast this year, because we needed to have at least 40% of the students qualified to be able to do that. So that is, difficult to know that their number is so high, but glad that those most vulnerable students and students in need are able to be provided some additional resources. And then I think, we just continue to grow, and we continue to like educate ourselves. And I think I've had more than ever recognition of like what an unaccompanied minor looks like. So the office staff generally like contacts me when a student is enrolled, or even like some of our health room staff is like, hey, notice this student living with their aunt and uncle, and they've never qualified before. So I think just continue to educate ourselves on what that actually means. And that's all staff. It could be, a teacher in a classroom. Like I heard my student was talking about how their grandpa always puts them to bed and their mom doesn't live with them anymore. That's an unaccompanied minor. You don't have to be older. It's not a teenager. It's somebody who lives with their family and not their legal guardian. So I think that just goes to show like the communication that we have, and like the really great office staff that we have working on that and are able to quickly connect students with what they need.
Thank you. Sharon, would you mind just giving us a snapshot about what you're seeing at Park Place?
Sure, it's been kind of crazy because school's just starting. We are seeing a larger number of special education students and students that qualify for services than we've had recently. And that is in turn driving some behaviors that we're not usually seeing, or not as much as we are usually seeing. So our teams are stretched pretty thin. We're doing the best we can to support kids. And the good news is our current 7th and 8th graders who we had last year are really settling in as strong leaders this year. And that's really cool to see. And we're putting some programs in place to continue to grow that, like sources of strength.
Yeah, I think I think sometimes we lose sight of the fact that what you're seeing is a microcosm of what Chief Jolly's seeing in the community. And in some ways, you deal with the impacts in a largely different way, because you're serving students who've been impacted by what's happening at home, but they haven't developed the coping skills or support systems to get through it. So we really admire what you're doing.
Yes.
And then I wanted to hand it to Pastor Michael. What's happening?
Well, we're Chief Jolly and Commander Ryan are going to be sharing with the Pastors Fellowship coming up on the 22nd of September. And they're going to be dealing with some of the conflicts that parents are facing and how to best handle them, when to call 911, the cell phone conflicts that often happen, and then the presence of weapons that we're seeing in family conflicts, and how to de-escalate and things like that. And so we're looking forward to that, because the pastors, of course, have the students and the parents in their congregations. And so looking forward to that. I think that's going to be a good thing. Appreciate the event this weekend, Juliet, and all that's happening there with the mental health. That's all I would say. Appreciate.
Okay. Dennis or anybody else, any final words?
I have a question for Pastor Michael. This is Mary.
Hi, Mary.
Hi. Is your group growing as well? How many different denominations are represented in your ministerial group? And how large is the faith community in Monroe?
Well, we have about 35, bless you, Jolly. We have about 35 faith groups that we represent and coordinate or try to coordinate. And so last meeting was in June, and we had like 26 different pastors or representatives at that group. So we're looking forward to the 22nd for the next one. It's a lunch.
Thank you.
22nd, at Cascade Church, if you know a pastor or representative group. That would include the mosque and the faith groups, faith community. Yeah.
Any other questions for Pastor Michael? All right, Dennis, what's up?
I'd like to invite everybody to Railroad Days in Granite Falls if you have some free time. The parade starts at noon. Our community coalition will be involved in the parade, and we also have a booth there. And so I just wanted to give you that invitation.
When is it?
October 1st.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And then just to Maddie Louder, who is our new addition. Maddie, did you want to say anything? I mean, we'll be drawing on your experience every month moving forward, but I know you're just getting settled in.
I don't have much of an update to share right now, but I will probably moving forward.
Okay. Well, I think that's all we have for today. Thanks for jumping through the hoops with me on the orientation meeting. Please email me any questions you have, or if you think of any folks we should be reaching out to who might be a perfect fit for one of those sectors of support. I'll get on it right away. Otherwise, thanks for doing what you do. Chris Gray said this earlier, but I echo this. I love this coalition.
Yeah.
I love it with all my heart. So I'm going to stop the recording. Have a great day.